Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to Madrid on a bizarrely cold day in the middle of May. Not sure what's going on. Okay, let me give you guys my thoughts on the match against Mallorca yesterday. And then we'll go on and talk about kind of the latest with Huijsen and Carreras and all that stuff. Now, 3 hours before the match yesterday, we found out that Brahim Diaz and Lunin were also injured. Now, that makes 12 players injured. This is a new record. I've never seen this before. By the way, look at the lineup that you could put together just with the injured players. Okay, this is a hell of a lineup. Well, they're all injured. Absolutely incredible. We finished yesterday's match with Vallejo and Jacobo as central defenders, which I think tells you everything you need to know. Ironically, those are the two players that created the last goal, so hats off to them. But we'll discuss the match. I think it was a kind of a sloppy first half, but a very good second half. It was 2-1. It could have been a lot more. I think Mallorca's keeper had a very, very good night. I'll give you guys my thoughts on the match, players, and then we'll get an update on sort of Huijsen, Rodrigo, Corttois renewal, and all that other kind of stuff. Thanks for joining me. As always, let's get started. Welcome back. Okay, let's talk about the match last night, which, look, the league is pretty much done. I mean, you know, Barca's not going to lose 2 matches and draw 1. I mean, that's not going to happen. So even though it was kind of meaningless in terms of La Liga, it's very, very important to always play with pride and to always want to win. And it was very, very good to see that spirit yesterday. It was, you know, the DNA of Real Madrid is still there, even in a match that, like I say, didn't mean much in terms of points. But it was really good to see that spirit, that DNA, the fighting, you know, until the bitter end. And the result is what we've seen so many times in the past, a wonderful comeback. Okay, the lineup now. In terms of the lineup, this was a 4-4-2, and he started with Jude on the left. Now, I don't particularly like this 4-4-2. I kind of like the diamond formation a little more. But this is how he started. Courtois in goal, Fran left back, Fede as right back because there's no one else to do it. Asensio and Jacobo in the middle of defense. The middle of the pitch, you had Modric, Ceballos, Jude on the left, Arda on the right. And then up front, you had Enrique and Kylian. Now, in terms of well, one thing I'll say about the lineup that you guys maybe are not aware of is that, you know, when you have injuries, you're allowed to bring players up from, you know, Castilla, whatever, to fill the voids of injured players. But there's a rule that, we almost got in trouble yesterday because you have to have, of the original roster at the beginning of the season, okay, the 23, 24, 25 players that you register from the beginning of the season, 7 of those must be on the pitch at all times. Now, this is a rule, and if you break it, you know, there are consequences. And we were barely able to pull this off. We were barely able to finish the match maintaining 7 players of the original roster on the pitch at all times. That gives you an idea of how extreme the injury situation is. And like I tell you guys, I've never seen this before. It's really, really unusual. In terms of the match itself, I'll give you my thoughts. Okay, the first half I thought was a little bit disorganized. We felt a little bit sloppy in attack. The passing and decision-making in the final third was sloppy. But there were a few things that I identified that really kind of bothered me. And, you know, we were talking about it in the stadium. One thing I noticed that in the first half, our forwards tended to lump together in the middle of the pitch. Now, Mbappe was supposed to be on the left, but drifting to the middle, you know, when he wants. And then Enrique was supposed to be on the right, drifting to the middle. The problem is that they were both drifting to the middle, and we weren't exploiting the wings at all. There were so many situations in the first half where you could see everybody lumped together. So you had a couple of midfielders, and then Mbappe and Enrique, and the 4 of them were sort of at the top of the box, and there's absolutely nobody spreading the play on the wings, which is what you need to do to create space and move the ball. So I thought that our attack in the first half was a little bit disorganized, a little bit, you know, cluttered, like I say. Another thing that bothered me is that when we would manage to make a good deep pass, usually to the wing, and it was a really good situation where you've got Kylian or Enrique running on the wing, the second line of players took way too long to get forward. So you would end up in a situation where you'd cross the ball and there's absolutely no one in the box, or you would need to wait too long for the second line of players to come up, and of course by then Mallorca has come back and the play is over. So I felt that we were a little bit slow in transition. Once we got the ball to the wing, it took way too long for the midfielders, the rest of the players, to move forward to finish the play. That was something I noticed on more than one occasion. And then and then obviously as a function of that, another thing I noticed is that whenever we crossed the ball, it just never seemed to land on one of our heads. Now, I know our aerial play, both offensively and defensively, has been very poor this year. And I think you saw that quite a bit yesterday. How many balls were crossed into the box, and it just never ended up on the head of a Real Madrid player. And it's kind of almost to the point of being statistically unusual. I mean, how can we keep crossing balls and none of them end up, in the right place? So that was a source of frustration. Now, the first half ended with some whistles. Here it is. There were some whistles, but nothing extreme. Now, I'm very glad to say this. I know that historically the Bernabeu is brutal, and I've seen the Bernabeu be very, very cruel in the past. I was very happy to see that wasn't the case. I mean, there were a lot of there was a lot of kind of repressed frustration, but it didn't manifest sort of overtly. And of course, we managed to turn the game around. I can tell you that if the game had finished differently, you would have heard whistles at the end of the match, but it actually ended up, the opposite. One of the classic Real Madrid comebacks. So I'm glad to report there weren't many whistles. Something I mentioned in my preview, but. Now, the second half was much, much better. In the second half, you just saw completely, it was, we were transformed. The ball circulation was much, much quicker. Players were making runs off the ball. There was so much more movement on and off the ball, circulating the ball very quickly. Jude had an absolutely extraordinary second half. And it was just a constant attack. This was just, attacking over and over and over. We could have scored so many goals. Mallorca's goalkeeper had an absolutely fantastic night. And this ended with a dramatic goal in the last second from the two players you would absolutely least expect. But, very entertaining at the end. I think the match was sort of painful for the first, maybe 60 minutes. But the last 30 minutes, I think, made it worthwhile. By the way, when Maffeo came on, man, I should have recorded this because there were so many whistles when Maffeo came on. This is the player that nearly broke Vini's legs twice last season. And man, when he came on, did he hear it? And of course, he was, talking crap and making gestures to the crowd. But we got the better of him. Mbappe ridiculed him on a couple of occasions, and we put him in his place. So that was very, very good to see. In terms of players, just really quickly, Corttois, and we're going to talk about Corttois in a second because his contract renewal is coming up. I thought Corttois was very good, and not that he had a lot of work to do, but there was one 1v1 that was just so crystal clear. And Courtois, in these situations, is one of the best goalkeepers I've ever seen. I mean, he has an ability of making himself big, of occupying space. His hands and legs are always in the right place to block as much of the angle as possible. Courtois is excellent in these situations, and I've seen him stop so many of these. I thought Courtois didn't have a lot of work, but when we needed him, I thought he was very good. Fran, I think Fran had a good game. To be honest, I think pretty much everybody had a good game. I think maybe Enrique was frustrating, but generally speaking, I think, everybody had a pretty decent match. Fran, I think, played pretty well. He did screw up on lost a couple of balls, but he recovered very, very quickly. Fran is a player that I don't know how much of this you notice on TV, but he makes an enormous physical effort on the pitch. And he really gives 100%. Whenever Fran goes into a 50-50 challenge, I mean, he risks his physical integrity every time. I mean, he clashes very hard. He commits everything in these challenges. I'm always worried he's going to get injured. But I thought Fran had a decent game. Asensio, I thought Asensio played really well, and there were, I've heard, other YouTubers here, some of them were a little bit critical. I don't agree. I thought Asensio played well. There were two or three very key recoveries where he demonstrated his speed, catching up. A ball gets away from him, a player gets behind him, but he's very, very quick catching up. His timing and challenges is very good. This kid has a really, really good sense of timing. I think Asensio played well. I don't know what match these other guys saw. I thought he was quite good. Jacobo, it's interesting because he's played on two other occasions, and on both of those occasions, I said that I thought, this shirt is too heavy for this kid because he was awful in his first two appearances. But this is a player that we keep hearing really good things about. Everybody says that he's very good, very composed. He reminds people of Fernando Hierro, very composed, very elegant on the ball, all this kind of stuff. But in the first two times he played, I thought he was just very poor. Now, not last night. I think last night he had a decent game. He had a really good game. He played very well. I think he looked more confident, a little more composed. He looked a little bit less nervous. Didn't make the mistakes that he made in his first two appearances. And of course, he scores a goal in the last minute, which is going to do wonders for his confidence. And I'm really glad that happened. So Jacobo, I think, had a good game. Ceballos, again, I think he had a decent game, a really good game. He didn't set the world on fire, but he circulated the ball well. He circulated the ball with speed. He didn't hold on to it too much. Sometimes, he has a tendency to over-dribble. But not yesterday. He was very quick to release the ball, very quick to find space. Wasn't dominant, but I think had a decent match. Luka Modric, I thought was excellent. I think Luka, Jude, and Kylian were probably the best players yesterday. Modric was excellent. It's absolutely amazing to me that this is a 39-year-old player. I don't think I've ever seen a 39-year-old play this well. But he was fantastic. His ball distribution was excellent. He recovered absolutely crucial balls at exactly the right time in the middle of the pitch, but he felt very, very present. Modric just seemed to be everywhere. It was one of those sort of fantastic Modric performances. Again, incredibly admirable considering this is a 39-year-old player. I don't know what kind of diet Luka is on, but it's extraordinary to do this at 39 years of age. Jude, I thought, was very, very good. One of the best players. Some people that I was listening to criticized his first half. I'm not sure I agree. I think Jude was wonderful in the press. He presses. He gives 100%. I mean, the way this guy lunges at everything. He's constantly trying to steal the ball. He never gives up. He makes runs that most players would give up on, but not Jude. Jude just keeps trying and running the entire match. And then in the second half, he gave us an exhibition of his technique. I mean, this is a player that protects the ball so wonderfully. I mean, he has such an incredible ability to get through players. The way he sort of switches the ball from the left to the right is unbelievable. There's an elegance and a beauty in his technique that I absolutely love. I think Jude played very, very well. I thought his second half was spectacular. Arda was, very active. Like he wasn't decisive, but he was very, very active and very present, putting tons of crosses into the box. He took all the corner kicks. Most of them were very, very good. Arda has, and by the way, he had two or three incredible shots from distance where he shows you what he has in that left foot. That left foot is absolutely golden. I mean, the power that he puts on the ball and the precision of those shots was incredible. Those balls didn't go in because, like I say, the Mallorca keeper had a spectacular night. But Arda did, he did show us the skill that he has. Again, wasn't a protagonist in the way that he has been in other matches, but very active, very involved, and I think had a really good match. Enrique, probably the most frustrating of the players last night, and I don't really want to blame him because he's an explosive player. He's very quick and a short player, but very powerful. He's like a pit bull. But he felt a little bit uncoordinated with Kylian and the midfield. It just seemed like they didn't understand each other too well. Sometimes he would misread passes or just make the wrong run. And I think that a lot of this has to do with continuity of play, because if you don't play enough minutes, it's very hard for you to gel right into the system, into the play, and kind of understand your teammates and who's going to do what at what time and what run you should make and which of your teammates can make certain passes or can't make others. Like these are things that come with continuity of play, and I think that what's missing for Enrique is just more minutes. I really like this player, and I want him to stay, and I think we can get a lot out of him, but I do think that we need to find a way of giving him more minutes because he needs to gel a little bit more. He just felt a little bit out of place at times last night. So I'd say he was probably maybe the player that had the most disappointing night. Okay, Kylian, man, you guys, if you ever go to the Bernabeu and watch him live, he's so quick. I mean, I don't know. You don't quite capture it as much on TV. He is so quick, especially when he receives the ball with his back to goal and he spins to face goal. He does like a little crossover and spins. He's so quick. And then with one touch, he'll put the ball in front of him and sprint, and he always gets to the ball first. Kylian's speed is absolutely otherworldly, and his technique is incredible. He's one of the players that I think can dribble at full stride, better than, one of the best I've seen. I mean, he really is technically magnificent, and again, just so quick. I thought he had a good game, great goal, insisted every time, made good decisions. He knew when to take players on, knew when to let the ball go and push it back to the middle or push it back. His decision-making was good, but he was a constant nightmare for the Mallorca defense. Like I say, he showed up Maffeo on a couple of occasions, which I absolutely loved. But Mbappe is an incredible player, man. When this guy finally settles into a permanent position, we're going to really enjoy this. But he's had a very good season. We can't complain. Okay, Vallejo. Okay, I have to say it was really endearing because Vallejo, you guys remember what happened the last time he played. But he's a player that has had a lot of medical issues, not all of them physical. It's kind of a unfortunate story. I've always felt a lot of empathy for him, but it was really good to see him. He almost never plays, but it was really good to see him play, and I thought he did well. I mean, I thought he did well. He kind of, I think there was one header that he kind of gave up to 50-50 unnecessarily when he first came on the pitch. But after that, he settled into the play well. He was in the right position, recovered a few balls because he was well placed on the pitch, distributed quickly. He knew exactly where to send the outlet ball to Luca or Ceballos. I thought he was good. I thought he was very good. Surprisingly, I was very happy to see it. Like I say, from a human standpoint, it was a wonderful thing to see. Okay, Gonzalo came in and played a few minutes, and this is a player I hear a lot about, and they say he's quite good. I haven't gone out to Valdebebas to see him with Castilla, but I hear that I hear he scores a lot of goals, and he has that kind of he's got a lot of strength. He looks like a very powerful center forward, aggressive, physical. Likes to get involved. And he looks like he has a lot of power. So I think he looks good, but again, we're going to have to see a lot more of him to really see if he can play in the first team. But again, good to see him play a few minutes. Okay, let's move on to the sort of gossip side of things. Now, the Rodrigo situation, you guys. Look, Ancelotti keeps making excuses for the Rodrigo situation. Rodrigo's entourage keeps saying that everything is fine, but I smell something fishy. Okay, I just do. Something is unusual about his presumed ailments. Some are, fever related. Others are like his leg, but which leg? Even in the interview the other day, Ancelotti didn't know which leg. He went to practice, Rodrigo, and 15 minutes later walks off the pitch. And even Ancelotti in the press conference didn't even know which leg was injured. I mean, I find that a little bit suspicious. I find it suspicious that you put him on the bench, and then when you need him for a few minutes, he doesn't want to play because he doesn't feel well. I find that really suspicious. You guys, we need to understand this is a player that has flirted with leaving before. It's not like this is completely out of the blue. He's a player that gets really pissed off when he doesn't start, doesn't take it very well at all. And I'm getting a vibe that he could leave. So I'm telling you guys, brace yourselves for this possibility. Okay, the Courtois renewal we need to talk about. Now, Courtois is 33 years old, and He wants a 3-year renewal. Now, that would take him to the age of 36. Now, I've heard some YouTubers here in Spain say that Courtois is off his best. He's not the player he used to be, blah, blah, blah. I don't see that. I don't agree. I just don't agree. I think we've taken a lot of goals. We've conceded a lot of goals this year, but not because they were Courtois' fault. He made one mistake in the Copa del Rey final that was very costly, but the rest of the season, he's been very, very good. And this is not a position, this is not a defensive pivot or a left back or a right back. He's a goalkeeper. Okay, you can play that position. I mean, do you remember Gigi Buffon? I mean, Gigi Buffon played, I don't know, what was he, 40 when he retired? And he was still excellent when he retired. I think Courtois is still the best goalkeeper in the world. I really believe that. Look at the one-on-one last night. I mean, that's insane. And I think that we should renew him. I think a goalkeeper can play to 36 absolutely perfectly. It's not so much physical conditioning that you need as a goalkeeper. You just need more reflexes. But he is technically a very mature, and he's got a lot of experience. He knows technically what to do as a goalkeeper, when to come out. His technique in terms of the placement of his hands, the weight of his body behind the hands, like he does everything fundamentally really, really well, and I haven't seen that change. So I think Courtois should be renewed. I think you're going to be very hard pressed to find a better replacement. So quite frankly, again, we need to not score around, pin Courtois down, because this is a mission critical position, and we're very lucky to have him. So please, let's not screw this up. Okay, the Huijsen thing, from what I hear, is a done deal. Okay, it's a done deal. I love this. Bournemouth, they were very cool, and transaction went smoothly. The player wanted to come. It always helps when the player is the driving force behind a transfer. But it looks like the terms have been settled. Everything is done, and it's just a matter of hours until it's announced, or days. So that's very, very good news. Now, Real Madrid wants everybody here by June 1st. Now, we're still pushing for Carreras, and the negotiations with Benfica are taking place now. Apparently, Real Madrid is offering 40 million plus 10 in variables, depending on success, hurdles, trophies, etc. Which means paying 50 in the end would be really good news, because it means that the player's done really well and we've won a lot of stuff. So that is still ongoing. I think we'll be able to pull this off, because Benfica's business model is very unique. Benfica is a team that they love to play very young players and then sell them in the open market, and they've done very well with this strategy. It's a club that gives a lot of trust and liberty to young players, but this is their model. They take young players, they develop them, and then they sell them, and it's a model that has worked for them quite well in the past. So I do think that the inclination to sell is there on the part of Benfica, and I think that the urgency on the part of Real Madrid is also there. So whether this ends up being 40 or 50 or whatever, I do think this will happen, but it'll probably be announced after Huijsen. I think Huijsen will come first. Okay, and like I say, we want everybody here by June 1st, because we kind of want to hit the reset button before the Club World Cup. And I'll give you guys just a couple of words on the Club World Cup. I don't know what you guys think of this tournament. I think this is very experimental, and you're catching teams at the end of the season where everyone is just exhausted, and you're playing in the US, which is like, the heat is unbearable. Some of the places where these matches are going to take place, it's unbearable, the heat in some of these places. The grass is always the wrong grass. It's always too dry or too high or too slow or astroturfy, and the ball bounces. I don't know. I have my reservations about this tournament. I know that it's a new thing. And we want to put on our best face, which is why we're trying to rush everything through by June 1st, because we really want this to be the first sort of trial run with Xabi Alonso. But I don't know how much importance we're going to attribute to this. I mean, I think the premier club competition in the world is the Champions League and the European Cup, and that has been the case for 80 years. I don't think that you can just birth a new tournament and expect the world to sort of adore it and love it and appreciate it and respect it. I just don't really see that happening. This is going to be like the UEFA Nations, Europe Nations thing. Like, no one really gives a shit. I don't know. We're going to have to see whether this tournament matters or not. But I know Real Madrid is going to try to prep everything to put on a decent performance. Okay, listen, that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think in the comments section. And I'll see you all in the next video. Thanks for joining me as always. Love you guys. And as always, a la Madrid.